On this very special edition of Play for Keeps, the show, we're talking about New York Comic Con. That's right. It's Monday night. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's time to start your New York Comic Con week off right here on Play for Keeps, the show. Obviously, I think I've alluded to it. We're talking New York Comic Con. Now, unfortunately, Mickey is out doing some investigating at Area 51. So with me, he is the master of disaster. He is one of the hosts of Wrestling Night Live here on Nerd Initiative. He is making his Play for Keeps debut. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Rich.
Hey, I thought we were going to pass off because of the beard that I was just Mickey shaved my head and just put some weight on. But Area 51 sounds like a lot more fun.
Consistency, remember? Because the other thing. Through line.
Little tiny bit.
Welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Monday night to come and talk New York Comic Con. I know you and I have a lot of stuff to get done before we head down on Wednesday, but taking the time just to talk about some of the collectibles that I know you want to get yourself. So again, thank you so very much for joining us.
Absolutely, anytime. I'm glad to be here for the first time. I mean, literally, I think I've done every live stream for Nerd Initiative. Even going back to live streams that don't exist anymore, because they're shows that we no longer do.
I was in the chat at least for Wrestling Night Live. Does that count?
Yeah. I mean, you don't watch wrestling though, so it'd be awful hard for you to be part of Wrestling Night Live. But of course, I am a co-host on Turn a Page. Before I was a co-host, I was the man in the chair. Now I'm doing this fill-in spot here on Play for Keeps, so I feel like I'm well-rounded.
Well, look at that beard. He does have one of the most beautiful beards, and it is well-rounded as well. Now, real quick, before we jump into everything, we always start off every single week talking about what did we happen to pick up this week. Did you have any pickups this week?
I actually did. It's funny. I had something sitting right next to me here. Some people might, I collect NECA's Toonie Terrors. And so I was at the store this week, and I actually picked up this guy right here. It's a silver screen Bela Lugosi Toonie Terror. It's the black and white ones. They're kind of nice. I really actually dig these. I have quite the collection of Toonie Terrors. I do have to get them written down, but they're fun. For those of you who might not collect these, they're kind of like in the style of Scooby-Doo, and they're all horror figures. I got another one here that's a little older. This that I've had for a while longer. Sam from of course Trick or Treat, but I mean I have a ton of different ones, just the two that I had to buy here. But yeah, I picked this one up when I was at the Walmart this week.
Very nice. I myself, again, this is a particular character I think was a little too late. I did pick up Night Sister Marin from Jedi Survivor. I think this should have been released during the initial run, not almost a year and a half after the game is over. So this will happily go on my Star Wars shelf now that we found the droids. But yeah, that's what we got. And typically we would jump into toy news, but this whole episode is toy news. We're going to talk about some of our great things that we want to pick up at New York Comic Con. We're going to hit you with a few little tips if you haven't been down there before, and just give you a little our personal take on it. Also, let me remind you, tomorrow night on Turn a Page, we're going to be talking about all the comics, a little bit of TV preview as well. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. And you know what?
Let me cut you off for a second, though, Tom.
Cut me.
Tomorrow, Turn a Page will be at a special time. It will be released at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Even better. So that way you get your comic on just a little bit early.
Yeah, we're trying to make it so for people traveling, it will be released at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to take advantage of that, so everybody can get their Comic-Con fix in, because we'll be talking all comics there instead of like here where we're talking collectibles.
All right, so let's get started. Rich, you are the guest, so why don't we throw your stuff up on here first and tell us what you're interested in for New York Comic Con.
So first up there, as you see, this is in no particular order. Of course, Funko always comes with a fun booth every year to New York Comic Con. You can count on that. This year, no different. They also usually have a ton of exclusives at New York Comic Con. Very rare exclusives in a lot of cases. The two on the screen are the ones that jumped out for me the most. Of course, as you can see, they're kind of blueprint style Batman and the Joker. They are capped at 2,100 figures. That is right. So the only 2,100 people will be able to get them. I did not find their listing of when they'll be on sale because Funko does this interesting thing where they exclusives like this, they have a listing of when you have to sign up for it. Usually they kind of wait till the last minute because, it drives the market, if you will. So be on the lookout. Yeah. What were you saying, Tom?
Oh yeah, just a bit. It drives up the market. I mean, we know how that goes. Those chases and the variants and all that other fun stuff as it is. I think I've only ever
started with them.
Found one chase in the wild, and that was a Power Ranger. No, I have about 3 or 4 chases now that I think about it.
Yeah, there's a few others that were there. I know our good friends over at V Friends have a exclusive that's going to be in New York Comic Con as well. There's a
You missed the memo. That's on here. Don't worry, we got it. It's the EIC's choice.
Yes, but still, we have a whole bunch of other ones too. Like I said, the Batman ones. There's a couple other DC ones that are on the list as well. This year they didn't bring back your favorites though. They didn't bring back they replaced Polly with the pizza rat. How are you feeling about that, Tom?
As someone, so I'll explain. All right. Polly the Pigeon has been my personal souvenir every year I go, and I'm not a huge Funko collector, but this is the one thing that I want to get every single year. That and the logo T-shirt. So the fact that Polly Pigeon is not making appearance again, it's a little disheartening, but it is what it is. But luckily I have them so close here in the Den of Zen. Also, if you are a Funko collector, make sure to check out all your online exclusives, your retailers as well. We know Amazon, Walmart, Target. Sometimes Books A Million has an exclusive. And I will say from experience, be very, very careful. I did purchase a figure from there a few years ago for a convention exclusive. It almost took them 7 months to ship it. So, but it was well worth the sandwich.
And if you are at New York Comic Con and you go to the Funko booth, there is no possible way you can miss it. It is a gigantic area. It's one of the bigger booths on the floor. You'll notice that we'll be talking about that. And a lot of the figures that we're talking about, they usually have a pretty big footprint on the third floor. Funko has one of the bigger ones. So there's no way possible to miss the Funko booth.
I think the only other company that's going to have the largest footprint is going to be Bandai. They usually have about 12 to 14, but that's also because they have the Gundams, they have the Dragon Ball, they have Tokidori, they've got Bandai America. They have such a diverse line. There's quite a bit. So what do we got up next, Rich?
Next, look at that. It's a Godzilla Evolution figure from Omega Beast. It's a toy company that make really cool statuesque looking toys. And this is just a dominant version of Godzilla. As you can see, the cool colorations, you're getting it like halfway between him going full Super Saiyan, if you will, and your normal blue destruction. This one stuck out to me. I thought it was a really cool figure when I saw it on the list. I'm a huge Godzilla fan for everybody. Obviously I'm not in the show, but I'm a gigantic Godzilla fan. So there was no way I wasn't going to find a Godzilla. And this was my favorite of all the Godzillas I saw. This one is also New York Comic Con exclusive. And it's going to be, it's about that big. Yes, about the size of your head on the screen.
It's going to be 20.7 inches tall if it's in the same line as the standard. This one being the Comic-Con exclusive does have a little bit of a paint difference as well.
Yes. The regular one is a little bit slightly different. They did do the exclusive. It is exclusively up for, we call it the raffle, because if you get into a line in time and you buy your ticket, then you might be able to have the opportunity to purchase this bad boy. I do think it's going to go quick because usually the Godzilla exclusive figures for New York Comic Con, no matter what company it is for, go fast.
That they do. All right. Now, after we've stomped all over Tokyo, what do we got coming up next?
Listen, I am not much of a toy and trade collector, but Lionel does such great work. And this year at New York Comic Con, they actually have an exclusive. This might not be the first year that they've ever done this, but this is the first year in recent memory that they have done this. And this particular one that I took the picture of the show on screen is Lionel's train that features the DC villains. They have done 2 lines for New York Comic Con that are exclusive to the show. And they are the DC line, which they have a hero's car, a villain's car, sidekicks car. And then they also have a Star Wars. They have Star Wars cars where you have the Rebel forces, you have the Jedi, you have the Empire. You have a ton of different ones. So Lionel doing really cool things. Of course, one of the most known toy train manufacturers in the world, one of the highly sought after ones. Huh?
Synonymous.
Yeah, so like this is kind of cool that a leader like Lionel is jumping onto the Comic-Con thing and actually doing some really cool nerdy stuff with DC and Star Wars exclusively for New York Comic-Con. So I was pretty excited and stoked to see this. And like I said, I'm not usually a toy train collector, but these were so cool. I was like, how could I not put this on my list? I'm definitely going to stop by their booth because I'm going to want to see what else they have on display besides just the DC and Star Wars trains.
Lionel trains just keep rolling on. And I love the fact that they're using like very classic style character designs, like from the comics. So you got Lex, you got Harley. Now, mind you, Harley's, not that very old. You got an old classic Joker. You've got Sinestro. You got Catwoman. And I'll let you take that last one. Who's that last one right there?
Mr. Mizzlepixel.
Mr. Mitaspitalik.
You want to say it however you want to. I think we can agree that those mixtures of letters do not spell anything.
Well, try to get him to say it backward and have him go back to the 5th dimension.
There you go.
We'll jump out of the 5th dimension to Rich's number 4 pick.
Oh, this is starting the NECA roar. As you notice, I'm a big NECA fan, and NECA had unveiled that they are doing an exclusive Halloween Resurrection Michael Myers. That's right, one of the worst movies in the series. However, one of the most toyetic figures that you could make. And when I saw this originally, it wasn't a New York Comic Con thing. When I saw it, it was just them announcing that they were doing it. Then they decided that A, we're bringing it to New York Comic Con, and B, we are going to sell it for the first time at New York Comic Con. So you will be able. The other one that I was really looking forward to was the Art the Clown Terrifier one. However, finding out that is now a Walmart exclusive, they may have the figure at New York Comic Con because NECA will always put on a huge display of what's coming out and everything else, but that doesn't mean it's for sale. I have gotten word, though, that this Halloween Resurrection figure will be for the first time on sale at New York Comic Con. So your first chance to get your hands on it, if you are a fan of collecting horror collectibles, will be on the showroom floor at the NECA booth. Once again, the NECA booth has a pretty good big footprint. I love the glass cases they have. If you ever make it there, or if you're going to the show and you've never seen the NECA booth, they will literally have out everything that's coming out that they have announced, and they will have things that are already on the shelves. They will have things that are coming out and when they're coming out, when you can order them, where you can buy them from. It's super cool to check out. I at least spend a half hour looking through the cases, just looking to see what's coming out in the next year, because NECA does a lot of my favorite figures. Obviously, like I said, I collect Toonie Terrors, but I also love the horror figures like this one. I'm also big into the TMNT figures that they make. So like that's always a good stop for me every year at New York Comic Con.
I remember myself at the NECA booth a few years ago. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years ago, right after they started their gargoyles line. I don't know if you can see, I got a few of them hanging up back here. And it was the first time that they ever showed the Avalon's Gate of Demona and Goliath. Really love this set because they went for a more cartoon face. That's the one downside I will give NECA when it comes to this line. They tend to hyper realize the gargoyles, and because we're so used to seeing them with that very basic shading they had and skin tones and textures, the way they did them, some of them hit, some of them are a little bit of misses. But speaking of, you were talking about the shred head and those turtles. What else we got on deck?
Also from NECA, and I this is one of the things I loved here. New York Comic Con exclusive. It is Terror Train Shredder. As you can see, it comes with a bunch of accessories. I was going to show the packaging, but I was like, I wanted to encapsulate all of the awesome things that it comes with. The NECA turtle figures, especially this line of the NECA turtle figures, the more toyetic ones, if you will. It's always a fun time. They do come in the same packaging, i.e., hold on. A very good friend of mine who's on the stream actually purchased this for me. This is the Monsters version of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
And then that is, of course, Frankenstein. So this is kind of how the packaging looks. It'll look the same for the Shredder figure that you see there, not from the same series, but that is the top line for NECA. So therefore, that's kind of what you could expect from this figure as well. And then right next to it, how could I not share the fact that we have Garfield in Ninja Turtles apparel?
And
this
you
is
say
also
that
in New
my
York.
cat appears.
Yes, I just want to throw this out there. Garfield as a Ninja Turtle with a pizza cutter as his weapon. And this is also a New York Comic Con exclusive. I love how they got Odie in there, but Odie is not wearing any Turtles gear. However, I guess he's not cosplaying as a turtle. Only Garfield is.
We've already mentioned this on here before in our toy news. I think everybody knows how I feel about particular crossovers. This one doesn't make sense to me. If you're a Garfield person, great. But you know what? I hate Mondays. So that's all we're going to talk about when it comes to that. Getting back to your Terror Train Shredhead, I do happen to have an image here so you can see it in all its glory with all the goodies it's got going on here. Let's see if I can pull this one up, if it'll drop in.
Maybe. Let's see it.
Maybe.
It's maybe. Not. No. It doesn't want to show.
That's all right. The one thing is that
look it up. It's really cool.
Yeah, the one thing that you got to give NECA some credit for between their different lines when they're doing their stuff is, especially with the Turtles, they do very comic accurate ones that have a very heavier black line. But the best part is that line is not a solid, straight, hard line. You'll see the little indentations of what might be the difference in the marker or the inker or the pencil. Very bold colors. You're not going to get gradients. It's right there, right in front of your face now, as opposed to say like the Universal Monsters line. Big textures, big colors, real deep shading and coloring. It's NECA really knows what they're making. And also they know how to price their stuff too. God knows Mickey and I have talked how many times about, why is this figure this much and versus that one and so on and so forth. But when you do buy a NECA product, trust me, you are buying a quality product to put on your shelf in or out of the package, however you play with it.
I agree. And the only bad part about NECA figures, and this is not NECA's fault at all, is that the value of them goes up rather quickly. So buying them a secondary market is unfortunate because you will get, they jack the prices up. You have to go, if you find them retail, they're always super reasonable. Like the turtle that I showed a minute ago, normally if you get that regular market's about $35 to $40. That's retail. You try to buy that at most collectible shops, though, you're looking at $55-$60 or more, depending upon which one it is, if it's rare or not.
And speaking of rare, that particular line, why is it that all the Turtles got 2 different figures and Donnie only got 1? I lucked out. And I don't know if I told you this. My Donnie figure came out of box and I paid $30 for him.
Oh yeah, that's a very luck move. I've been looking at it. The reason I wasn't buying them right away was because I know how much of a nightmare it is to buy them on the secondary market, and that's where you have to find most of them now. And it's like I would want to be a completionist because the figures look so damn good. It's the same thing with the cartoon-esque ones that you were just talking about. The figures look so good, and the way that they do it with the lining and making them look just like the TV show. Like I know Mondo Gecko has a beautiful looking one. They've done so much cool work. NECA does a great job, and across the board. And like I said, like I was showing off when I was showing off the Toonie Terrors. Even these are about $15 to $17 retail. And they still have an amazing amount of detail, and they still have an amazing amount of stuff. And like I said, making horror figures, real horror figures, look like they belong in a Scooby-Doo episode is just something that they do, and they do really well. And like I said, NECA's quality speaks for itself, and I do believe that's why the price in the secondary market for collectors goes up, because the quality speaks for itself. But as a company, taking my hat off to them, knowing that they could probably charge way more, you know what I mean? And they don't. And that's kind of awesome because they're not pricing out the collectors early on. It's just about pre-ordering them, making sure you get them, go to your favorite toy shop, find a good retailer who will pre-order them at retail. There's plenty of them out there. Or just get lucky and pick them up at a Target or Walmart or whatever. Sometimes you get lucky and you see it on the shelf for retail. Anytime I have to buy a Toonie Terror outside of that, even if I go to like an FYE to buy them, it's just like I'm paying $20 more than what the retail is on it. It doesn't make you feel good about it.
Okay, well, that's FYE. We know how much they jacked up their prices to begin with, and that's why our local one closed.
Yes, that's true. Well, it's again, you can't go there and buy something that I can buy from a different outlet for retail, or even a few bucks over retail, which is still beating you.
Mm-hmm. So, flipping the script, we're going to talk about the figures that I am interested in for picking up down at the show. So, let's start off with a Funko and a very obscure but very popular game. So
there it is.
Booth 4505, you can find Sonic the Hedgehog with the sword from Sonic and the Black Knight, which was a Wii exclusive. It's never been ported over to anything else. I believe this could be an anniversary year, and that might be the reason why. I'm going to look that up here on the side. But when I saw this, I thought, I haven't been a big Funko collector lately, but the fact that they do a deep cut like this, as opposed to doing like Sonic 06, because we don't remember that game. We don't want to remember that game. Like, kudos to them. Like, that's just a really, really great idea. So let's see. Sonic and the Black Knight came out in 2009. So we're not looking necessarily at an anniversary year. But again, just a great figure. We know that, with everything going on from this whole Sonic franchise, everything from Paramount, this is a good way to keep Sonic going fast in your head just for something to pick up. What do you think about this one, Rich?
I think it looks pretty cool. Also, being an exclusive and having the fact that they did like such a deep dive on it, a deep pick, it makes sense because this brings up the rarity and people wanting it. It's definitely a certain market that is going to want a Sonic Funko Pop to begin with, which is great. And then to give something this rare as an exclusive for a con is even better, because you don't really necessarily, I don't necessarily need to see like the movie version of Sonic as the exclusive because we see enough of those Funko Pops and toys right now. Not saying that there's anything wrong with those ones. It's just that if I'm going to pick up something that's going to be a con exclusive, that's going to cost me a little bit more money because it said con exclusive, I really feel like I want something like this Sonic where I can display it and go, oh, this is cool. Your friends that know are going to instantly go, oh man, that's the Black Knight one. Your friends that don't know aren't going to care anyway, so it doesn't really matter,
Oh, it's Sonic with a sword. I don't know if they've done Werehog Sonic yet from Sonic Unleashed, but I wouldn't mind if they did that one too. That again, another niche game. While Black Knight was on Wii, Unleashed was available on 360 and PS3 to counter it off because you couldn't have that much stuff on a Wii game. But yeah, taking our first steps out of the booth, because trust me, that Funko booth is going to be dead center right as soon as you walk in. Now taking your first steps past that, making a Fantastic Four reference, over at the Marvel booth, we are introducing the Super Skrull. This is going to be at booth 1012. I am very excited to see this figure. If you take a look down in the bottom left corner here, as I'm looking right there-ish, reverse there, that's the original Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure. There's one big difference that I like with the Build-A-Figure versus this new one. I also have up here that the Super Skrull card from the Marvel trading card collecting from back in 1993 was used for the box art. So I had to give a nod and put that up there. But this particular Super Skrull, it comes with the figures. It comes with 3 heads, multiple hand and arm swaps. So you can have the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. You can have an arm that's, good old Stretch. The legs are just Johnny Storm. And I will say 9 out of 10 times when you usually see Super Skrull, he's flaming on and using that for his type of propulsion. Would I like to see in some sort of change up or whatnot? Sure. The one thing that I really don't see very well in this box is any nod to Invisible Woman, to Sue Storm. That's why I wanted to make sure I had the old Build-A-Figure, because if you notice, that's not just Sue Storm, but it's also a stretched out invisible arm, while on the other hand, it is a clobbering fire arm on the other one. So I think that this might have been a little bit of a oops on this particular occasion. I would still want it for my collection just because it's going to finally be a little bit more accessible as opposed to paying for the Build-A-Fig, because I looked up the price and trust me, nobody wants to buy it.
It could be, they can get quite pricey, especially the Build-A-Figures. This figure looks great. I think it's a good Legends figure. Yeah, you're missing out on something, some Invisible Woman stuff, but it looks like they're giving you a lot of value, especially with the heads, a lot of accessories with it. Mixing and matching. I'm with you. I kind of would like to maybe have a different set of legs just to do something different, or you could do one as one and one as the other, to kind of mix it up. I think that this figure would lend to that. But once again, then you get into pricing and how much to price something out. Because I feel like when you get into all of that, you're going to start really going into different molds, and it's kind of, that's where we start getting hairy carry, if you will, on the stuff. So I applaud them for not getting what we should call uber greedy in pricing the market. But it is a cool figure.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, on the back of the box, and I didn't have enough room for it so everybody could see. The back of the box matches exactly to the trading card as well. So I'm like, you can't, you just can't. That is so freaking smart. Give me cards, give me boxes like that. I have boxes. I keep all my boxes in my attic. Stay nice and dry. All my figures, are all out. So the opportunity to finally have a figure that I could display in the box, this would have been the first one to do it.
Oh, it's a tremendous figure. And like you said, the fact that they even give you what the inspiration was and it looks like the inspiration, I think that's a big home run, because that's going to hit collectors, because a lot of people collected the cards. A lot of people look for things. A lot of people collect, obviously we're comic book fans. A lot of us collect comic books. And sometimes, if you're going off a specific cover or a specific scene and you really nail it, it's just a piece that you really want in your collection.
I think the real reason this one resonates with me, ready, here we go, old anecdotal story. I collected Series 1 and Series 2 of these cards. Interestingly enough, I found numerous mistakes in the cards. Now, mind you, comics, this was before the time of social media and so on and so forth. I found the number 2, I believe this was Topps and Hasbro and Marvel or whoever it was at the time, and got in touch with them, said, hey, you do realize that this such and such card, in particular, West Coast Avengers, has the team roster, has the team group shot on it, but on the back, when it goes to the team roster, it's missing Hawkeye on it. So that was one thing I called out. I called out a few other things as well. I mean, it's the West Coast Avengers. Luckily, it's not a Great Lake Avengers. But Marvel was kind enough to send me a full, complete Series 1 set with hollows and in its own holographic binder. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
12-year-old me went, holy crap, because I couldn't say any other words in the house like that. But yeah, that is a very beloved part of my collection. And we're not going to blame which X that one. Which X has that one?
Oh,
yeah, it makes me want to go all Dr. Doom. But following that up, I do believe that it is hero time, and we are talking about Thrilljoy. Thrilljoy, if you don't know, made their debut last year. They bumped it up tenfold at San Diego Comic-Con. This is from Brian, and I'm going to butcher the name, from the guy who used to be the CEO over Funko. Okay. I got to learn his name because we are going to be doing an interview with him during New York Comic Con, which I'm looking forward to. We're going to be doing it, as a matter of fact, at the Toy Temple booth, at booth number 2473. And you're going to have the opportunity to purchase one of these Ben 10 figures. That's right. Kat has this spot on. It might be your childhood, but it's my 20s. I absolutely love Ben 10. You can even tell by looking at my watch. If I light it up just right, I have an Omnitrix on my watch itself. I'm really looking forward to this. I really want to pick one of these up. One thing that I love that Thrilljoy does, yes, Funko does chases. But Thrilljoy does such limited runs on top of the chases. So if you take a look, Ben up top here is going to be a 6,000 figure release. All right. Heat Blast, which is great because they all come sleeved. So you don't know which one you're going to get either. That's the best part.
Mystery style.
You cannot walk up to the booth and say, hey, can I get Heat Blast? You know, my favorite Pyronite. Did you happen to know that Heat Blast was the first alien that Ben ever changed into and was used the most common for the original Ben 10 series? No, I do, because I really do. And that's just says that it's limited chase. But this clear figure, that they're only going to do a very, 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 very tiny limited run. And just to make sure I get the number right, this one is going to be, zoom in. And now I can't see it. Yay. Technology. Don't you love it? That clear is only going to be 48 pieces. All right. So Ben is 6,000 pieces. All right. Out of those 6,000, 48 of them are going to be that clear variant. Just put that in your head. You know, we were fortunate enough, Michael, Lauren, and myself, to go to their launch party last year, and we all got a few limited figures. Like, this is Blue, their mascot. So this is a 1 in 1,000 or 1,000 piece run. Another Blue, this is a 3,000 piece run. And then the big old boy that I don't think I took out for Masters of the Universe, March Madness. Ha fools! With a wax or plastic seal chase on here. Till we meet again. So I am very, very interested to see what they do. This past year, I've seen other product lines like Rich might be interested in. I know that they have 2 versions of Lion-O out there. One of them is, as a matter of fact, at one of the stores close to where we live. So keep an eye out for that. Again, we're going to have an interview with him later this week. So make sure you come back here for all your New York Comic Con coverage. Following up on that, number 4, yeah. So we've talked about Fan Home on here before. We've done a few reviews about some of their figures. They just started off with this Star Trek universe line. This is a smaller scale figure size. This one in particular is going to be the NCC 1701 Enterprise E. That is going to be gold plated, and it's going for the whopping price of $350 at booth number 1445. I will be down there at Fan Home this week, and we're going to have a nice little conversation, talk about all these great new products. As a matter of fact, keep an eye out. We do have something from the Lich King line coming out soon here for Play for Keeps unboxing exclusive. I got to say, after having these figures and seeing how they do their small scale line, but we can also talk about their large scale, because if I remember last year, you did some great B-roll and saw that phenomenal Optimus Prime. That was not a Megazord.
No, it was an Optimus Prime.
It was an Optimus Prime. They also have an Iron Spider from Avengers Endgame that stands 27 inches tall. If you're not familiar with Fan Homes, how they do their thing, you sign up for their subscription service, and you get, if it's one of their model kits, you're going to get a new piece every single month. Or if they also have a line where it's just like the Star Trek ones, you're going to get a new figure model that you can stand. You don't have to put anything together. It's made with die cast. It's absolutely beautiful. Again, every single month. There's also a comic book one. I know that they're doing like the whole syllabus of Batman ever. And my buddy Eric has them, and he still keeps getting them every single month, and they're just absolutely beautiful. And yes, it is expensive, but when you see the amount of detail that they put into these particular models, like the Millennium Falcon, you're just going to be astonished that you can have this stuff in your house. Personally, I'm still waiting for the Megazord for review purposes.
Well, I mean, we also got to see last year in New York Comic Con, they were putting together one of the Iron Man that they had. They had a very nice Iron Man, and it was just phenomenal. They had all the pieces out because they were doing this like demonstration. It was just kind of cool. Every piece is very high quality, very well painted, easy assembly. I think that's for the model figures. Like, I know that some people are like, doesn't matter as much, but for the average collector, sometimes if it goes together a little rough or it doesn't look right, it's not good. But everything's such high quality, and then the die cast stuff is really nice. I mean, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I'm more of a Star Wars fan, but seeing all the Star Trek ships and all the Star Wars ships that they had out of die cast, all of them look fantastic. They're beautiful. They're high quality. Like, even like the picture doesn't do it as much justice here, but you can still see some of the tiny detail that's in there when you're up close to it, where you see those little like notches and everything. It's real sharp. Like, it's way sharper than what any image is going to really show you. They do such a nice job there, and it's a really cool. The subscription base is really cool. I think it's a really there you go. Like, even on camera, it looks amazing, but if you see that in person, it doesn't, it's amazing. Like, it looks good in pictures, but once you see it up close, you notice that every little thing and indentation is actually a detail on the ship. It's the work that they do. And like I said, the subscription model is really cool. It's a kind of a nice little, it's something to look forward to every month. It helps spread out costs because yes, they are kind of expensive, but it does help spread out costs when you're only paying X amount of dollars instead of like the whole shebang. So I give them credit for that.
And also on top of this, in fact, that is the Enterprise from the end of Picard, because this is technically, what was it, the Titan, before it was rechristened as the next Enterprise, just so you know. So this is going to be, I believe, one of their first ones. At the booth, they're going to have the USS Cerritos. So in case you happen to be a lower decker like me, all right, lower decks. Shout out to Tim Sheridan. That is my must get for this weekend. So any of you Trekkies out from maybe Cetacean Observations who might see it before me, save one for me. And then finishing off from our friends over at Bandai and Tamashii Nations, they always have a New York Comic-Con exclusive. Last year, we had that gorgeous metallic paint Vegito. We're going to flip it up and fuse the other way, and we've got Gogeta. Lightning not included, just so you know. This is going to be over at booth 2417. Bandai always has such a massive spot. I've always loved going through their stuff, particularly 2 years ago. They had Kamen Rider. They were really trying to push Kamen Rider. I'm interested to see how they're going to deal with that this year, simply because Kamen Rider Zets, the newest series, is now getting simulcast released every single Saturday worldwide with subtitles. So are they going to finally push it here in the States, and we're going to start getting some product line? I mean, I know I've got plenty of figure arts back here that wouldn't mind getting a new friend. But on top of that, you got Pac-Man, you've got Studio Ghibli, you've got Dragon Ball, you've got Star Wars. You even have Star Wars that they do their samurai crossover. So if you ever seen some of those figures, those are just so out of this world. Like, to see a copper helmet that's shaped as Admiral Akbar, trust me, it is not a trap. You want to spend your money on this one. They're gorgeous, stunning figures. And of course, figure arts, I have a very special spot for them. I have more than enough, and don't tell my wife I might want more. But you can't go wrong. You've got Tamagotchi. The product line that is under Bandai is massive. They've been doing this for decades. It is a trusted brand. I've never had any qualms with any of their product, except one time with one figure with that thing called Gravity. What do you think about this particular figure, Rich?
Oh, and somebody who's not a huge Dragon Ball fan, I still think the figures are so amazing and so good. And like I said, I love the Bandai booth, and every year once again, it's another one of those booths I spend a good, even when we're not discussing with them, I spend a good half hour to an hour just going around photoing stuff, and like the scale of things. I love how they bring the full size statues of even
Yes.
like like they usually will have a Godzilla on display. They like the samurai Star Wars stuff. I mean, a couple years ago they had the whole like life-size Darth Vader samurai
Set up on the stand. Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing. I know I have some pictures of that somewhere from that year. I just love their stuff, and the Dragon Ball stuff is so toyetic. Like it's a
Yeah.
super toyetic line, anyways. But like they are doing some real high quality stuff. I've always said, and I know it's going to be weird. And they're always across from each other, which is weird. But like if you're looking for like anime figures, Bandai and Super 7 do an amazing job on the anime figures. And I mean, I tend to, and I'm just saying this because I'm a My Hero Academia fan. Usually Super 7 has the license for that and not Bandai. But I'll tell you what, they're both doing some phenomenal work. And that figure, I mean, I wish the lightning was included. I don't know how you would pull that off, but we can figure it out for later. If anybody's going to figure out, it's going to be Bandai. I'm just going to throw it out there.
They make
like to look like that.
Interestingly enough, I can say Kamen Rider 01, they have made retrofit LED helmets so the eyes will light up. So one day, if they can make some sort of resin print with LED or filament in it, they'll get to it. Again, this has going to have that premium paint job. I wouldn't be surprised if you have some sort of pearlescent or sparkle in it, but what's smart about it, like I said, going back to and using last year as a prime example, because it was a Super Saiyan blue version. So you had the hair all up. The blue was not Kool-Aid, oh my God, I'm going blind. It was, hey, I have this beautiful shine and shimmer to it that's not going to distract, but enhance the figure and really give you that feeling of energy coming off the character. So again, I can't stress this enough. When it comes to anything from Bandai and Tamashii Nations, specifically Tamashii Nations booth, get there day one because it will be gone by either late day one or early day two. There's so many things. I always try to say, I'll go back on Saturday and get it because, Rich and I are busy. We're working. And go back and you go, gone.
I also want to point out, I know we're going to be doing pro tips in a little bit, but here's an early pro tip, especially it's for every booth, a lot of the booths, but Bandai in particular does a great job with this. At the booth, giant sign, it will tell you the schedule of release. So if you have a figure that you want that you can't pre-order, some of them they'll say you can pre-order, some of them you can't. It will tell you when they go on sale at the booth. That is key to make sure you're at the booth probably a few hours before then.
Hours.
Because there will be a queue.
Kidding.
Hours, not minutes, hours. Because they will go through them. The other thing that Bandai does very well, and I know a couple other places do, is they every day they give out big giant bags. And they're free and they go fast. Like literally, we walk in the door as press. So we have a press entrance, not bragging, just letting you know. So we get in a lot quicker. There has been times that we've gone in, stopped at another booth because we had something to do. 20 minutes after doors open, there is no bag. Like we were trying to get a bag. We just keep our eyes on these things. They're gone. And that's a lot of those.
Speaking of those big bags, if you see somebody walking around with a Funko bag that is enough that you could put a small family in, that is full of Funkos. Leave them alone and give them space.
Absolutely. But it's so those are a little, like, I know we're getting into it a little later, but those are little pro tips, especially because I've always appreciated what Bandai does as far as their scheduling. If it's something that's going to be, as Tom pointed out, if it's something that's going to be launched day one, chances are you ain't getting it day two. But make sure, look on that list, look and see what figure you might be interested in, and then you're going to want to make sure that you grab that one, and you're there early. Early is the key because they're going to sell out. I promise you that. I have not seen any figure that they put up exclusively that does not sell out. Once again, the craftsmanship, the art is there. And by the way, much like we talked about NECA, Bandai, super reasonable. For what you're getting, I understand some of them are expensive, right? But you're getting top tier, especially when you start getting into the Gundams and all the stuff that goes along with them. Bandai does such an amazing job. Like I said, they're one of my favorite toy companies, right up there with NECA, right up there with Super 7. I think Super 7 kind of inches them out for me only because I'm a Thundercats fan, and Super 7 does the whole Thundercats line. Although I've said this, if I've hit the lottery or if I'm automatically single, which I hope to never be single again. I'm a very happily married man, because the signs will be, yes, I do love my wife, but the signs will be, I will come into a lot more Super 7 Thundercats. If you know, they can get pretty pricey.
One other big thing that, again, we want to mention is that, there's going to be we're harping on the particular brands that's in this list, but whatever your particular brand, whatever your particular franchise, IP, whatever it is, trust me, there is going to be some sort of representation. Hallmark is going to be selling their signature collection figures. Her Universe usually has a booth. Roosevelt's, I know Matt can't wait to see what's coming out from them, because we'll be getting text messages on Friday going, "Hey guys, there's a Roosevelt shirt. Can someone get it for me?" I guarantee it's on my bingo card. There's a lot of great things, and not only is there the big brands that are going to be out there, but there's also going to be other smaller scale vendors out there. So take your time around the show floor. You might find your favorite new dice maker if you're into D&D, or if you like tabletop gaming, you might find somebody out there who has a great card game. Maybe like our friends over at the Massiveverse. You can't see it, it's off screen, but Massiveverse, their trading card game, they're going to have stuff going on. You can go check out their booth as well. There's a lot of great things that you can get your hands on while you're down there. But the big thing that we also want to make sure that we emphasize to you, everybody, is, aside from, let's just slip this one in here. Our good old friend Ken, all right, the editor-in-chief himself. This is the editor's choice from his boy Gary V. His V friends and Funko are teaming up. They're going to have very, 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 very exclusive Funkos. My lock on this one, it will be gone in 20 minutes.
Oh, I guarantee that. I will also say this. It's giving me strong Return to Oz vibes.
Oh, Jack. I love Jack.
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to be gone quickly. And like to back what up you were saying, you're going to have a ton of different vendors there on top of all of the big boys, if you will, and big gals, if you will. There's going to be a lot of I love to use the word mom and pop collectibles. You're gonna have stuff, and then you're gonna have a lot of small companies. And those small companies, listen, every company starts somewhere.
Exactly.
So if you find something that looks really cool, it doesn't matter if it's Bandai or Super 7 or Funko. And I mean, we all love them. They're quality, they're great things, but you can find some really cool upstarts that might be, you have to remember, Thrilljoy first year was last year. Mind you, they came out with a massive booth. They'll have a massive booth again. Really interactive, really cool stuff, very collectible stuff. As Tom pointed out, very, very limited. And it's mystery box style, which is amazing, And that's a huge market. However, and they have a bunch of IPs. However, last year was really their coming out party at New York Comic Con. Before that, they weren't really, and granted, they started with a lot more startup than some of these smaller ones. But don't be scared, because now they're back and they're doing even more stuff, which means they're being successful. And that means if you bypassed them last year because you didn't know who they were, you missed out on probably something you might have really liked, especially if you liked it. Don't be scared. I know there was I'm going to butcher it because I can't remember. I know I have pictures of it somewhere. There was a cryptid place that was selling the little cryptids, so you could get Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, and they were vinyl figures, super cool, really affordable. And really cool. They were comic book looking. I dug them. I hope they're back. I've seen them the last 2 years. And every year they add something to the mix. As a matter of fact, they sold out of most of their stuff last year. It was amazing. The first year they still had some stuff left. Last year they were sold out by day 3.
I think there is one figure in the Thrilljoy line that I think should be on your shelf. And I believe it's Art the Clown from Terrifier. I think that's an 8,000 piece run. I know they've done Man at Arms, Cher from Clueless, Battlestar Galactica, Harry Potter, The Nun, Conjuring, Has Been, which I go back and forth on that, because do I want Thrilljoy or do I want U2's But again, that's just me as a collector. And like Rich said, it's all those mom and pop ones. So let's jump into what our personal tips and tricks that we want to offer. Oh man, look, Mickey phoned this one in too. Apparently he was able to phone this one in. I don't understand what he's saying, but we know that Mickey's definitely interested.
It's the Batman Returns line.
Exactly, from McFarlane. I know we were talking about this. They will have them at the show this week. So
I'm super stoked for this. I love how they look like the figures. When I saw these, I was a big fan. Obviously the Penguin just jumps out. I love the Danny DeVito in the portrayal, but that Christopher Walken, that's a gorgeous figure.
It doesn't need any more cowbell. I mean, it's just perfect, just like it is.
It is. I love it. Yeah, Kat says that Penguin is awesome too. I love it. Like I said, there's so much cool stuff. We could actually spend 4 hours talking about if we kept going on, but we do want to hit up and talk about some tips, some must brings, some pro tips, if you will. Both of us have been to the con 1.5 million times. And I the first thing I always warn people, you can go to a lot of cons.
Yep.
You can go to a lot of different cons and ain't nothing good. If you haven't been to San Diego, C2E2 or New York, nothing will prepare you for those cons because the scale is so much larger. I've been to tons of cons,
even throw in
tiny
Emerald
cons.
City.
Yeah, Emerald City is up there too. Don't get me wrong, but like if you have like as I've been to a bunch of fan expos and they're amazing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not crapping on them, but when you walk into the Javits for the first time, the scale alone is intimidating. Like you look at the building, how big it is from the outside, and then you walk in the door and you see those big arches, and they're everywhere because this building is massive. And you just the scale and the amount of people, and especially if you're going on Saturday or Friday, but Friday's not as busy. Saturday is it's like the third level of hell because it's that packed and there's so much going on and there's so many great things. It can be daunting. So I know that Tom wanted to throw some tips in there, and I'm going to help him out. And we both have some tips to help you not get so overwhelmed when you're at New York Comic Con.
And remember our saying from a year or two ago, when in doubt, follow Tom. I'm like a salmon swimming upstream. Like I lose Ken and Rich because like where'd Tom go? But yeah, here's just a few things. You're taking all this stuff away from the convention, whether it's figures or variant cover art, because there's going to be all this fantastic comic art, your trinkets, crafts, all this kind of stuff. But here's the things that we think you should bring to the show on the flip side. So starting off, number one, a water bottle, folks. You do want to stay hydrated. Yes, it might be fall in New York City, but it's also fall in New York City. Even though it's going to be, light 70 degrees inside the Javits Center with over 100,000 people, it's not going to be 70 degrees. So they do have water bottle filling stations around the show, primarily on the bottom floor near Artist Alley. You'll find them outside of the bathrooms. Cash is king. All right. You can do a lot of quick transactions and with a lot of the vendors. And like Rich was saying, there are a lot of mom and pop vendors. Prime example, these particular two figure arts, if anybody can recognize what they are, from Power Rangers Ninja Storm or Hurricaneger. I was eyeballing these for 2 years. The guy did not want to sell them because his asking price. These were a little bit more rare to get. Finally, on year 3, I said, look, dude, you've been holding on to these. Here's the deal. You're asking this. I have this in cash. What do you say? And you can barter with some of the vendors. Sunday is your prime day to do it. Why do I know this? Because Keyblades. There will always be a foam weapon booth on one end. Try bringing this home on your airplane or your bus ride home. People give you very strange looks. But again, coming down to the thing like, hey, look, it's Sunday. Do you really? And I have said this to people. Hey, it's Sunday. Do you really want to have to go and pack all these back up? Yes, they're foam, they're light and everything, but it's less space that you got to pack. And he says, what do you got? No, I got this. Okay, fine. And that's how I got my Keyblades. Big thing, an open mind, goes hand in hand with kindness. Like Rich said, you're going to walk into the Javits Center if this is your first convention, and you are going to have a case of shock and awe and WTF. There are going to be cosplayers. There are going to be fans. There is going to be press. There is going to be bigger media outlets with camera crews. Reed Pop themselves are going to have their own roving camera crew. There's going to be vendors, exhibitors, everything and anything. So when I say bring an open mind, take it all in consideration. You might not be a fan of a particular cosplayer because they might be doing a version of your preferred character in a different version. If that's not your thing, acknowledge them as far as, hey, you made that cosplay. You're representing that character the best you can in the way you can. Kudos to you on that. Please don't bag on that person. Also, when it comes to having an open mind, be aware of your surroundings. Some cosplayers have very limited visibility. Some of them might have wings and not realize you're right behind them. Parents might be rolling their kids around in their strollers. So anybody who's got sensitive ankles, watch out. Typically that's on Thursdays and Sundays. But, just remember, you're all here simply for the fact that you all love these franchises and you're here to celebrate it all together. They say on average over 250,000 people are going to descend on the Javits Center over those 4 particular days. Just put that in consideration. You are one of 250,000 other nerds. Be nice. Rich, I believe you have a great thing about, unplugging from everything.
Oh yeah. So you're going to want to, so first and foremost, I think we have to make you mentioned cosplay, the obligatory cosplay is not consent. If you want photo with a cosplayer, please ask. Do not assume that you can just take a picture of a cosplayer. Even as press, where they're more than willing to let us take pictures and photos, we still ask or should ask. If you don't, that is not a good thing. So that is, yes, kindness is the new punk rock, Ken. But you're gonna want to make sure, like I said, it's always the best bet is that it's always the best bet that Dark Hawk Toys is at, man. Yes, Dark Hawk Toys, baby. But anyways, going back in, you want to make sure, because it's not consent, so you make sure you're asking for photos. Also, as Con pointed out, you are going to notice there's going to be a lot of media around. There's going to be Repop's own media. There's going to be press like ourselves. If you are going to get caught and be real. So please, part of the kindness and open-mindedness is some people don't like their picture taken. Trust me, they're not taking the photo of you particularly. They're shooting the crowd. So just keep that in mind. It does save out. You don't see too many problems, but occasionally that happens. Also, the unplug now. Let's go to that. As you walk around and you're enjoying things, or as you're waiting in line, either at a toy booth, because you're going to go into these bigger toy booths like Funko and Thrilljoy and Bandai, and there's going to be lines. Also, if you go to any of our favorite panels and everything like that, there's going to be lines that you're going to have to wait in. You know what, though? Those aren't lines to just be bored in and just stay in your phone. You can do that. Or if you want to experience con to its fullest, chat with your neighbors. Everybody in that line is a fan of things that you are a fan of, hence why you're in the same line. The cool part about that is you'll get to talk to people who share those fandoms if you open up. And guess what? I have never had people not want to talk to me about what we were waiting in line for. And the cool part is you get to see a different side, and you get to see different things. And then you also get different tips, because eventually, like if you're into, like, let's say you're into Dragon Ball Z and that's why you're at the Bandai thing, there might be somebody that goes, hey, there's a vendor over the other side there that's selling these cool, like, art frames of different, characters and stuff. Maybe that's something you want. You're going to find things like that just by just chatting. It is a really cool atmosphere. You are amongst people who are like you, who share similar and even the exact same fandoms as you do. So take advantage of that, because you don't run into that everywhere. And that's kind of the cool part about kindness and open mind. If you're kind and you have an open mind while you're waiting there, instead of just being in your phone, paying attention to your phone, make sure you're doing stuff. One of the other key tips that I would have as far as things that you can bring that's already going to be on you is your phone, but for a particular reason. Make sure you download the NYCC app. That app is going to be important to you because you can schedule out all the panels you want to go to. You can find out what room they're in, everything else. B, the showroom floor is massive and confusing. So therefore, if you're trying to find a specific booth, yeah, it's real easy to find the Thrill Joy booth or the Funko booth or the Bandai booth because they're so large and they have these elaborate things. However, you might not be able to find some of the smaller booths that are in between. The best part is they're listed in the number order. So all you have to do is look at the ceiling, find what row you're in, and then you'll have it. All of that is right there on that app. You're able to, there's usually, like last year, they started doing a game on there. I think I'm pretty sure they're bringing it back is what they said. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt where you get to compete in teams against other teams. And so it's kind of like an interactive, fun thing to do while you're at con. There's a lot of cool parts about the app.
Battery pack.
Yes, battery pack.
Cell service down there sucks, folks. I'll be very honest. It's extremely iffy. So your phone is going to draw a lot of power. So make sure you have a fully charged battery pack as well.
And a backpack.
Yes.
Don't rely on the fact that you might be able to get one of those oversized backpacks because, like we said, they go quick. So bring your own backpack because you can carry the things that you buy, but also you can carry your water, your battery pack, snacks. Because here's the thing: if you're waiting in lines, like I understand, that's not just money because that money is a thing. But like if you're like us, like we're oppressed, so it's a little different because we're doing a lot of waiting and doing different things, and we don't necessarily have time to break for lunch at a normal time or sit down and have lunch. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you're eating in line at a panel or eating before a panel starts because stacked foods are important because you're going to want to, just like you want to stay hydrated, you also want to make sure that your sugar's not crashing because if your sugar crashes, believe it or not, it makes you miserable. It's not a good place to be. You're in a happy place, and it's going to be easy to get testy because that building is going, especially if you're there on Friday or Saturdays. Specifically, Saturday is the busiest. Friday's also super busy. Even Thursday and Sunday, we always talk about it's the light days, but it's still busy. It's not like it's dead in there. It's just not as busy as Friday or Saturday. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to want to make sure you're prepared because you might not be able to get. Also, you might not be able to, you have to wait in line forever. There is places to get food. There's food trucks outdoors, and there's a ton of places indoors, but the lines are long, and finding a place to sit to eat is damn near impossible.
Let me top off on that. For those of you folks who don't know, all the way down outside of the big hall, the Hall H, if you go right across that, there is a newer food court that was put in about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. They are extremely slow at points. You'd be very surprised. You can walk right through, get your pasta, your rice, your burgers, your chicken fingers, because trust me, they go through chicken fingers like nobody's business down there. And it's very reasonably priced. You cannot go wrong with it. There's food trucks outside, and those food trucks will have 15 to 20-minute lines. Even if you do the mobile order that they have on the side and do their QR code, you're still going to wait 15 to 20 minutes. So if you can bring a small bag of trail mix, planters, whatever works for you personally in your particular, dietary situation, bring it. Cliff Bar, Lara Bar, whatever works for you. Just don't bring Go-Gurts.
No, you don't want to bring something that's going to go bad or spoil or anything like that. But you do. I just think it's something that you want to have, like you said, because you could end up, even if you have time to break and have lunch, you could end up waiting, because at different times of the day, especially when you get around those parts, you're going to wait in line. And it's sometimes ridiculous amount of time. And that could be the difference between if you're feeling well or not well. Like I said, you're going to be around a lot of people. It's going to be hot in there. I love what you said about dressing. It is supposed to be technically in the low to mid 60s when we're there. It's supposed to be. That can change tomorrow. That can change day of. I usually take, because if you're staying down there, I usually take a different kinds of clothes. I make sure I have jeans. I make sure I have shorts. And then I make sure I have a coat that I can stuff in there. Hence the backpack. You can stuff your coat in your backpack. You don't want to have it too bulky. You don't really need a bulky coat. But if you have a light one that you can fold up and put in your backpack, it gets it off for you because indoors you are going to roast, I promise you, even if it's cold outside.
Speaking of which, when it comes to backpacks and when you are on the convention floor, consider it just like you are driving. Stay to the right-hand side. If you need to stop, do not stop in the middle of the lane. Pull over to the side of the road. I know it sounds, very obvious, but it is a big thing. And going back to your backpacks, if you have very stuffed backpacks, like some of us do, like, Rich is going to be bringing a jacket. Me, I usually have my backpack, a jacket, the water bottle, the tripods. battery packs, all kinds of stuff, and you start getting a really wide backpack, please be mindful of when you turn, because you will go and whack somebody with it.
Yeah. I mean, mine's going to have a lot of equipment, between the GoPro and the regular camera and the camera mounts, but that's part of press. But you know what? Even if you're a fan, you might have some of this stuff, because trust me, you're going to want to take photos. You're going to want to do things. And that's another thing. Just the biggest tip is enjoy it.
Yes.
This is a time to enjoy. It goes along hand in hand with the kindness and open mind. Even if you don't agree with things, it doesn't matter. The good part is you're around people who share interests. Enjoy it, take it in, make sure, like I said, that's another reason to put the phone down a little bit, to take pictures of stuff, but make sure you have the scope of things. It's a beautiful place to lose yourself, and there's so much to do. There's going to be people literally handing you things all day long. You can go to all sorts of booths, and there's going to be interactive things going on, whether it's games that are playing up. If you go downstairs, there's a whole gaming area where you can actually play card games, play different card games that are for sale there. You can play D&D campaigns with people. You can landline game with people. It's crazy. Those things are happening. And most of them, they don't charge. You can actually just go and do it and hang out. I mean, sometimes there's tournaments and stuff, but there's a lot of them just showcasing it. So you can meet other people while you're having fun. And you never know. You can find, if you're a TCG player, you can find the next TCG game you and your friends can play, because they'll have sets of them. You can find different board games that they bring to the event, and etc. There's so much cool stuff that if you just go around, and not to mention going into panels and watching the panels and just doing all of the things, it's such an immersive event. You could not even hit the panels and still have days worth of things. I said, as much as I walk the Javits, as much as Tom walks the Javits, or Ken, or any of us that work this as press, we're walking the Javits constantly. And I'm still seeing new things day 4.
Every day.
And think about that. I'm still seeing things, and I've been every inch of that building by day 4. And I'm still going to bump into something I might have missed on day 2 or day 3. And the reason why is because it's just so large, and there's scales. And of course, in our case, sometimes you're in the zone. You have point A and point B to get to, and you're going there. And that's what I would say. Listen, I'm not saying people deserve special privileges, because they don't. Everybody is the same. However, be very cognizant of people who have special needs, who may be in wheelchairs, who may have walkers, who may have. Make sure you're taking care of them, and make sure you're being very patient with them. They can't move any quicker. You know what I mean? I understand if you're in a hurry, but once again, the kindness has to extend. You know what I mean? The same thing as if you see workers trying to get from point A to point B, help clear the way for them. There's a reason why, whether that's just to deliver food so people can get food, or whether there's an actual emergency and they actually have to get somewhere. Make sure you're cognizant of that. And then also just your fellow person, make sure, you leave a room. If somebody's got to get through and that they're, you sense a rush, instead of just being like, oh, this guy's being rude or an asshole, just if you're just kind of, hanging out, just move to the side for him. Go, hey, go ahead. Believe it or not, that might make somebody's day, because they might actually need to be getting somewhere, because you might not even know. Maybe that person is the host of a panel and you don't know, and they're trying just to get through, and Saturday you can't. So that kindness goes a long way, and it'll make you feel better. Like I said, I think that the biggest thing that I always tell people, we can make the joke about making sure you follow good hygiene, which is always a good thing. There it is. But here's the thing. I also say more important than that is enjoy where you are. Make sure you take it all in. Make sure at one point juncture, what the fun part is? There's a spot when you walk into the green or the emerald doors. So I know I'm using more technical terms. That's where the giant archway that you see picturesque all the time is. It's by the emerald doors. It's also the press doors. That's how I know the name of the place. There is actually an elevated area, because if you go up those stairs, there used to be the cosplay stuff up there. I don't know if they're putting it up there again this year or not, but there's an elevated area where you can actually overlook a lot of the floor. If you want to do something cool sometime, because we do this to shoot film and stuff, but I would do this if not. And I love doing this just to look, stand up there when it's busy and look over everything. It's amazing. And if they do have the cosplay area over, there's overlooks. If you can look out one of those overlooks, it overlooks the whole showroom floor. And when it's busy, actually when we're there and it's later and it's slowed down and stuff, it's also awesome to look and see what it looks like when there's nothing there. But when it's busy, the fact that you see all these people and just take it in, honestly, I really feel that that's the most important thing. and I can't stress enough, enjoy. Don't worry about the stresses of the world. Enjoy your fandom. Go find the things you want to be fans with. Connect with other fans because they're going to want to talk. Trust me, I've never bumped into somebody who doesn't want to talk about their fandom. If you find cosplayers in your fandom, ask them for permission to take photos. I promise you they will say yes as long as you don't just try to take it on your own, or if you're not rude. They will 110% always pose for photos as long as you ask them. I've never ran into a case where they don't. And you're going to enjoy your time. I promise you that much. Even though it is hectic and it's crazy, and I can't say enough how wild it gets in there and how packed it gets in there, it's still such a beautiful place when you really just take it in and go, oh, this is why I'm here.
And I think, Rich and myself, we've given you a really great idea, or at least the start of an idea for you and your con going experience. Yeah, absolutely. Go check out that tabletop area. And that is kind of one of those hidden gems. It's down to the left. You'll see a lot of cosplayers down there because they usually tend to be out there in that area because it's not a lot of people pay attention when they come in through those emerald doors. Down to the left. So a lot of cosplayers congregate down there, and then past that is usually where the tabletop and board game areas. And it really is a very slept on hidden gem. But speaking of connecting, make sure you get the app. You can schedule your all your panels and your signings, meeting celebrities. We didn't even talk about that. There's going to be dozens of celebrities there. That's where cash is king. That's going to be there, but you can schedule it and it'll notify you when it's coming up. A big, huge plus as well.
And pay attention to the sneaky celebrities. And by what I mean by that is there's celebrities that come to con as fans. And so it's not unusual to just spot celebrities who are just fans walking around. I.e., it's very noted that every year Mark Ruffalo comes in a regular basic mask. And if you can find out who he is, he will take a picture with you. So it's always kind of find Mark Ruffalo in the crowd of people. It is hard, but it has been done. And I know that, what was it, a couple years ago, Charlie Cox was just walking around the floor, just having a good old time. And that's not saying swarm them and make them uncomfortable. It's just saying you never know. You could be standing in line next to Daredevil, and they're normal people, and you never know. That can lead to a conversation that you might not have anywhere else. And it's totally normal to happen at New York Comic Con. And also, like you said, make sure you have all your stuff pre-registered in the New York Comic Con app, because that'll keep you on. You can set alarms on there. It'll let you know when you need to be in line, especially if you purchase one of those autographs or photos with a celebrity. Those are pricey. You do not want to miss it. And trust me, they don't, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. They don't care that you forgot and you ran out of time. They are on a time schedule. Their time schedule does not wait for the people who purchased it. So if you are not there in line when you're supposed to be, and the line empties out and they're done, they are done. So, and it's not to be rude and it's not to be mean to you, but they have schedules for a reason. And that's why they only sell so many tickets to those events. For said reason, they only have so much time. So you're going to want to do, if it's somebody, and then also if you really want to do something that's ticketed, please make sure you buy your ticket in advance. And a ticket to that autograph or photo op is not a ticket to Comic-Con. So if you do not have your pass to Comic-Con, it could be too late, unless I do think there's Sunday passes still available. If I'm not mistaken, there usually is. But in that case, if you don't have one, you're not getting in, even if you spent $250 to take a picture with John Cena. They don't care. And it's not to be mean. It's because that's part of the rules, and they tell you that before you buy it.
So wrapping everything up, go back, watch this again, listen to it on your plane trip, on your train trip, on your bus trip, on everybody jumping in the van, Tetris in the bags in the back. Have fun. That's the big thing. And the big thing to do to make sure that you have fun when it comes to Nerd Initiative is that you make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And then you ding that thing and make it ring. Hit that bell for notifications, and then smack that thumbs up to let Michael know that we're doing our job and we're doing it well. That's right. If not staying connected to everything, we've got all of our great stuff coming out this week. We've got Turn a Page tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. We're still going to be putting out all of our great comic book reviews on Wednesday for your pre-New York Comic Con enjoyment. Are we doing wrestling this week, Rich?
We are doing Wrestling Night Live. It will be scheduled for its normal time at Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, it will be pre-recorded because obviously I will be traveling to New York, and it's we've done live streams from New York before, but it's not always clutch because you can have issues with hotel Wi-Fi, and it's never a good place to be when the Wi-Fi goes out on you. So it will be pre-recorded, but it will be out Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to want to check that out. Also, with that graphic, you want to make sure you're following us on all the social medias because we are going to be putting out a litany of work while we are down there. We have quite a few members
on the show.
we have quite a few members of the Nerd Initiative roster will be down there. Myself and Tom included, Ken M included. Michael, the boss, will be there. Derek will be there. There's going to be a lot of us there. And we are going to be putting out stuff on social media right up front. There will be YouTube videos coming out. There will be articles hitting on the website. All of that will be happening. But if you're following us on the socials, you'll be able to see when we're posting, hey, I just got out of an awesome panel, and here's what you need to know real quick. We'll have a bigger video or article up about it later. But if you want to be the first to know, make sure you follow us on the socials because there's a lot of great things. We went over a lot of great comic panels and some streaming panels we're going over them, I should say, tomorrow for Turn a Page. So you're going to want to check that out. But just know we're going to have a lot of great content. I know there's going to be content coming out the week after as well. Tom's got a loaded docket of a bunch of interviews he's doing, whether it's with, especially in the collectible realm, he's got a lot of those that are going to be coming out. Those will be coming out the following week. But there's also, I know Tom, and I know there's a great possibility there's going to be some quick social ones that he shares too, where you're not going to want to miss it. If they show him something really cool, I guarantee he's going to snap a picture of it and he's going to throw them on those socials or pass them off. So our wonderful Kat in the chat, I saw Kat in the chat, so I want to shout her out, of course, as always. She will also be helping out, putting stuff up because once again, the Javits has questionable connectivity. The reason being is mostly because there's so many people there, so it bogs it all down. So the thing of the matter is we'll be kicking things out so they can be put up. We have a great team that's running behind the scenes. Shout outs to Matt, shout outs to Kat, shout outs to Lauren, shout outs to the entire roster that'll be at home who is actually supporting all of us in this event. I always want to give everybody the props. Shout out to Mickey. I know Mickey's at Area 51. He dropped in there. I don't know why, because now they're going to know your location.
They gave him a second to not be probed, and he wanted to probe into our live stream.
Well, I'm appreciative of it, but I'm just worried about, them finding him. So, all of everybody in the background, everybody's so amazing. And we have such a great team. And even beyond that, I'm just thankful that we get to share all of that. I know I'm going to be doing a ton of work. A lot of socials will be coming out for myself and Ken as far as comic book stuff. So make sure you're on those socials. Make sure you're tuned in. That's the best way to get all the information. And also comment. If you have a question, throw it in the comments. We're going to be responding. Once again, give us some time. It might not be until later when I have service. We got stickers. We got lanyards. We got, you're going to see it all over. I got a hat. I got a new hat allegedly Michael's bringing.
I have my own stickers in case anybody wants one.
I think I got some 3FN ones I'll bring. So if you see me, my other podcast, we got tons of stuff. And so find us out. We're going to have a great time. It's always fun to talk to everybody. Ken M, the editor-in-chief, dropped in, said teamwork makes the dream work. That's right. And that's true. It's true. And I think that we're going to be doing the work in there, and it's all for people to consume. So hopefully you guys are tuning in. I can't wait to show off some pictures because I'm going to be taking pictures. I told you, Tom can attest to this. I spend probably a half hour to an hour at the NECA booth, at the Super 7 booth, at the Bandai booth, and I shoot a lot of stuff. I'll be shooting B-reel at some point in juncture. I have the GoPro attached to me, so it makes it a lot easier these days. Amongst other things, I will be shooting footage that will be coming out via YouTube, via social media. I know Tom will be doing the same. Ken will be doing the same, and we are just super stoked. It's a lot of work, but peek behind the curtain in less than 48 hours. Well, actually, in less than 35 hours, I will be on my way to New York City. It's always a great time. It is not lost on me that we're blessed that we have these opportunities. And like I said, the biggest thing, if you take anything away from all of this, in closing, I know it's long-winded, is that go down, have fun, be kind to people, and really enjoy the fact that you're around other fans just like you. Remember, everybody is there to have a good time. Everybody is there to talk about their fandoms. Everybody is there to, maximize everything you can do. And trust me, you can have a lot of fun and spend as little or as much money as you want to. There's going to be, like I said, there's going to be people handing you stuff all day. There's going to be a lot of interactive stuff that you can join and do it. And it's free to look around, and there's nobody who's going to treat you like you have to buy something. As a matter of fact, some of the booths aren't really actually selling anything unless you already entered their raffle. And so all the display stuff is for you to look at, so you can go and buy it online or, enjoy it and have it shipped home. Because let's be honest, you don't want to walk away with one of those big 36-inch Gundam characters and have to carry it on your back all day. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, if you do want to, God bless you. But it's a lot better to go there, take the little QR code, scan it, and have it sent to you. Yeah, that size is fine. But we've seen them. We've seen the big boys. Or my favorite is those big 36-inch Godzilla figures that weigh about 100 pounds because they're solid. And you see people lugging them, and God bless them. However, I would rather just hit that QR code and order it and have it sent to my house.
In the great words of Stan Lee, enough said. Folks, thank you so very much for joining us tonight on this very special occasion of Play for Keeps. Rich, thank you so very much again for joining me, for filling in for the unfillable Self and Wild Keys, Mickey CWK Smith. It is an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we can have you back. And you know what? Maybe we will for Talks on Little Spoopy later this month.
Maybe. I'm always game to talk. I do love collectibles. I have different ones. Maybe we'll have to do a wrestling crossover too. A lot of wrestling collectibles.
Sure.
I know Mickey will talk about that. See, I got one right here. New York Comic Con exclusive last year.
Hey, well, you know what? Maybe I might get a week off. It wouldn't be a bad idea. But again, folks, we want to thank you all very much. We want to make sure you have a good time. But most importantly, we want to make sure that when you play for keeps.
Play for keeps.
Thank you very much, folks. We'll catch you down at the con. I'm out.